Yes, I am back. It has felt like forever since I have last uploaded a video to YouTube, but I'm glad to say I am back. What's going on, everyone? It's Marty here. Hope you all had a great NASCAR offseason, and yes, NASCAR is finally back, so why not? I'm making a return. I was going to do a video last week, but I was really busy with a lot of media stuff preparing for the Daytona 500 and Speed Weeks. But I'm glad the first video I'm doing is recapping the Great American Race. And this one was an interesting race on all aspects. Not going to talk about the start time until later. Not going to talk about the weather. In fact, I only want to talk about what happened on track. That's it. Keep in mind, I may not have all key aspects of the race, as I was board opping the race at the radio station I work at for 14 hours. Yes, that's right. It was a long day for me. I got there at around 10:45 a.m. and did not leave until 12:45 a.m. the next day. Yeah, I had a pretty long day at work. But first, we'll start things off with what happened on lap 14. Yes, the big one. I mean, why are we bump drafting and being that aggressive early in the race? I have no idea. I just don't get it. But for what happened, Kyle Busch gave a bump draft to Christopher Bell, who then turned a bump draft into a hook gone wrong into Eric Almirola and Alex Bowman, and all of a sudden, the big one happened. 16 good cars taken out early on. We knew the big one was coming in this race. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. But lap 14, come on, guys. That was just like as dumb as the lap 2 accident in the Daytona 500 9 years ago, back in 2012. Bell just simply made a mistake, pretty much. I know his first time driving a Joe Gibbs Racing owned car. I know last year it was a Levine family racing car, but technically it was a Joe Gibbs Racing car. But yeah, his first mistake driving an official Gibbs Cup car there. But yeah, a lot of good cars involved in that wreck. My picks, Martin Truex Jr. and Ryan Blaney. Those are the first two I had that I was thinking that could have possibly won the race. Just out at the snap, unfortunately. Then throughout the race, I know a lot of you were complaining about the single file trains, and I get it. This Super Speedway package, which has similarity to that 2001 package, obviously the 2001 package had the big wicker on the spoiler and the huge spoiler as well. Has the roof strip, which I know we don't see on the current Super Speedway package. It's a lot similar, but the current Super Speedway package isn't really meant for single file racing. It's very easy to get a suck up in dirty air and slingshot. The runs are a lot stronger than they are with the previous package. And yeah, you're probably thinking, why is no one making moves? Well, it's probably, once again, probably going to be going back to lap 14. Drivers were really anxious to be racing in the Daytona 500. For a lot of these drivers, it was their first points-paying race since November. Well, everyone knew it was their first points-paying race since November. But their first time getting into a Cup car in a long race since either the Clash last Wednesday or the Phoenix Championship race back in November. But yeah, drivers are anxious to race. They learned that increasing the risk of double file or triple file bump draft racing increased aggression and chances of a wreck. The drivers realized we don't need to be doing this early on. Let's take it down to single file racing throughout the race until the final laps or so. Another thing as well, you got to have enough cars to get amazing racing. You take out a quarter of the field after the big one, you're losing momentum. The bigger draft you have, or the more cars you have in a draft, the more speed you're going to get. I know for some of you guys as well, you were bored by the single file racing in those final laps. For me, I thought the action was still intense. You know, instead of 3 lines trying to get a huge boost like Talladega in 2019, or who's going to make the big slingshot for the lead, who's going to block. You've got 16 to 17 drivers in that single file line that had a chance of the win, playing a game of chess or chicken, whatever you want to call it, and just wonder who's going to make the first move and will they get help. I know I felt kind of like that in 2015, the final laps of the Truck Series race at Daytona, where Daniel Suarez made the first move. Nobody went with him. No one really made any moves until off of turn 4, and it helped out Tyler Reddick get the victory. The 500, though, you could compare this to is 2004. Yes, I know we're talking about a completely different package, different car, a more worn out surface, but the way the race went was a lot similar if you think about it. Drivers were just getting aggressive too early, leading to multi-car accidents every 30 laps or so. And after the big one on lap 72 back in 2004, which set Michael Waltrip on his roof, nothing else happened. Drivers knew it was getting way too early for aggressive moves to happen, and we saw that in this year's race. And once those laps kept ticking down, the race was weeding out the weak and only saw a few drivers, all single file, battling for the win in the end. All right, now let's look at pit stops. It was a big turning point in the race during stage 3. It was pretty much a manufacturer's battle. You were always coming in with, if you were driving a Ford, you're coming in with your fellow Fords. Chevy, you're coming in with other Chevys, and so on. And Denny Hamlin, who in my opinion had the best car on Sunday, backed out of the pack before the big one, making passes for the lead look easy, winning the first 2 stages of the 500, which nobody has done in the Daytona 500 since stage racing was formed. Just unfortunately was outnumbered. I think, in that lead draft, there were 4 Toyotas, and you're putting them up against 6 Fords and 8 Chevys. And even worse, the Toyotas were not even linked together on their exit and didn't have as much horsepower to use when they were exiting compared to the rest of the cars that pitted earlier already up to speed. Now, I think I've talked too long about this race without talking about the final lap. And here's how I saw it. Coming to it, I liked Brad Keselowski's game plan, laying back off of turn 2 with 2 laps to go to get a nice tow off of Harvick and then make a run to the bottom. Everyone working with Brad then except for Harvick. I like that move that Keselowski got, get one step closer to try and get the lead. Then on the final lap, it was just no lifting at all. Whoever you were with, your friends were where you found them. Harvick, Bubba, Cole Custer, they had a run on that low line. Austin Dillon read it. He went to the bottom. Keselowski and Joey Logano read it. They cut the air off, and then they went up to the high side to work with Michael McDowell and the Fords and make sure that they kept it going. Then, looking at the replays after the wreck happened, looking down the backstretch from the front stretch wide cam, which is, like that NR 2003 spectator camera, I think McDowell just gave Keselowski a huge shove going into turn number 3, and Brad was able to get a run on the bottom, and Logano tried to block or cut it off, make sure he was out in front, and then it was just on. Kyle Busch, Austin Cindric, oh man, they took some shots. I was worried about Keselowski when he got into an inferno and into the catch fence, and then him and Kyle Busch taking some shots there. I think Kyle Busch had a driver's side impact from Austin Cindric. I can't recall off the top of my head right now, but just seeing them walk away shows the testament to the safety NASCAR has made, especially, when we're just about to eclipse the 20th anniversary of Dale Earnhardt Sr.'s passing. Was it a bad move on Logano's part, though? Yes. He came down, cost himself and a Team Penske teammate another 500 for the captain, Roger Penske. But do I blame him for attempting it? Absolutely not. We're talking the Daytona 500 here. The biggest race NASCAR has. You do whatever it takes to make sure that trophy is yours. Obviously, you don't want to intentionally dump the guy like some people do or like some people claim that drivers do. But Darrell Waltrip said it once, I think, in 2012 during their scene setter. You'll do whatever it takes. You'll wreck your mother to win the Daytona 500. Once all the drivers climbed out, then we could finally celebrate Michael McDowell's victory. Been in the Cup Series since 2008. It's never found victory lane. Until February 15th, people were going to remember him for flipping and qualifying at Texas in 2008 and just walking away from that horrendous crash. But now we'll know him as a champion of the Daytona 500 forever. Michael McDowell sat down with the media post-race on winning as well as his strategy going into turn 3 on the last lap.
And, Daytona's been so good to us that we've been in the top 10, we've been in the top 5, we've been close. And, last lap, there's been times where I've made the wrong choice and wrong lane and pushed the wrong guy. And it's just so hard to get in position and to do it. And, to get my first Cup win at Daytona, it's unbelievable. I'm just so thankful for everybody that just has allowed me to do it. It's not been an easy road, and there's been lots of years where I was wondering what the heck am I doing and why am I doing it? And I always knew that if you just kept grinding that, one day everything will line up and it'll go right. And, but as you get further into it, you just don't know. So I'm just thankful, very thankful to everybody who made it possible.
Is it a surprise that he won this race? Well, if you're just a fan that really cares about what's happening amongst the front runners, don't really deeply think about it, you would think it's a surprise, but it's not really a surprise because Front Row Motorsports really focuses on their super speedway effort / package. Remember, their only completed win came at Talladega nearly 8 years ago, and that was their first ever win in the Cup Series that David Reagan won. McDowell was definitely a sleeper pick. 61-1 odds coming in to win on the Daytona 500 I saw from one website. But he has shown he can run up front near the end of these Daytona 500s. And Michael McDowell, he's just such a nice guy. Very respectful young man. I've gotten the chance to ask him a few questions before. Like I said, such a great guy. Really happy to see him get a W. And who knows? He could be a possibility of winning next week. I think he's a sleeper for next week too. I believe he would start second, based on the little formula that NASCAR has for races that don't have qualifying. We know he's got a road racing background, but the issue is the guy that's probably going to be starting on pole, Chase Elliott. And yes, we know Chase Elliott when it comes to road racing. Come on now. All right, so let's look at your top 10 from that race. Obviously, the win went to Michael McDowell. Chase Elliott came home second. Austin Dillon third. Kevin Harvick fourth. Denny Hamlin fifth. How about Ryan Preece as an open car? A great speed weeks. Finished in sixth. Ross Chastain seventh. Jamie McMurray eighth. Corey LaJoie ninth. Great job by the Spire Motorsports drivers. And then Kyle Larson came home in the top 10. So let's look at the good, the bad, and the ugly. The good, I would have to say, Michael McDowell getting his first win. Remember, Front Row Motorsports isn't a team that you see up front often, so to see them get it done is amazing. Like I said, I remember cheering for them at Talladega in 2013 as a fan. Just losing my mind watching that finish and see David Reagan and David Gillen go 1-2. That was a pretty fun night to celebrate. The bad, the big one. Like I said, having a big one that early in a race, it's just not pretty at all. I mean, a lot of good cars wasted out after lap 14. A lot of good contenders. Alex Bowman, William Byron, Matt DiBenedetto, Chris Buescher, Ryan Blaney, Ryan Newman, Eric Jones, just out that early. It sucks. I felt for them. I want to see them battling to the end. I mean, I don't know what's happened, but notably in these super speedway races, it's like the first Talladega race of the year is the one that you see a lot of drivers battling for the win. Everything else, you're only seeing like drivers in like the teens battling for the win. I don't know what the heck that's all about, but it seems to be what it's been these past few years, ever since NASCAR has gone with this damaged vehicle policy format, etc., etc. Now the ugly, the rain. I mean, I know it wasn't an issue from 2015 to 2019, but somewhere we're dealing with a lot of ugly rain, and the last 2 years we've had rain delays because of it, and it could possibly have to do with these late start times. Yes, I'm officially in on the noon bandwagon. I don't care what Fox thinks about having a West Coast audience for the 500 or any race at all. I care about the race starting and finishing on Sunday. Why NASCAR decided not to move the start time up, like a half hour, maybe even 1 hour as well, I don't know. It's probably just to keep the high audience after promoting the start time for months in advance. So that's probably be my best guess. But if this year's race started at noon or even 1 p.m., we would have not had to wait 7 to 8 hours. I mean, we may not have been able to complete 200 laps at the time. The race probably would have been rain shortened, but we probably would have already known who the winner would have been at about maybe 4 or 5 o'clock. But it was just ridiculous having to deal with afternoon start times. And NASCAR fans as well, they do not like to wait. Whether they're an East Coast watcher or a West Coast watcher, they'll get up, they'll watch NASCAR right from the crack of dawn. However, though, I will give props, though, to NASCAR for getting this track cleaned up and getting all 200 laps finished, just like they did in 2014, just like they did in 2012, and you could kind of say the same thing, too, with 2010, even though 2010 was a pothole we had to deal with. I thought, though, the race was going to get postponed to Monday with all the rain and the fog just not stopping, but then we just got lucky at 9 o'clock. And then once halfway hit, I just tweeted out on Twitter, we can officially go home. Anyway, my final rating of this race out of 5 stars, I'll probably give it a 3. I'll be nice since it's the Daytona 500. There was passing. There was a plot in play going for the win. Only reason I lost 2 stars is because of number 1, the big one that early on lap 14, and number 2, just drivers trying to be safe than sorry in the final laps. Make some moves out there. I mean, I know a lot of fans like to see that double file racing. I mean, I would have still been exciting. I would have still been excited whether or not we would have had single file racing, double file racing, etc. Because super speedways are my favorite types of races. It's always exciting to see what's going to happen in the final lap of the race. But I love seeing drivers make moves like once again I'll bring that example back. 2019 Talladega was probably the most hyped I've been in the final laps of watching a super speedway race with that current package. You got 3x3x3, and then the final lap just a lot of crazy moves happening. And then you could say the same thing as well in the final laps of that same race, but in 2012 at Talladega in the fall, where they were 4 deep behind Tony Stewart, Matt Kenseth, and Michael Waltrip. But anyway, what do you guys think about this race? Let me know in the comments. I want to have an open discussion on this. That was a crazy race. Interesting race to say the least. Big congratulations to Michael McDowell. Very happy for all the McDowell 34 and Front Row Motorsports fans out there. Like I said, what were your thoughts on the race? Let me know in the comments below. As always, if you did enjoy the video, make sure you give it a like and be sure to hit that subscribe button if you liked what you saw. I'll be doing a lot more NASCAR content on my channel these days. I know we stopped doing it. I forgot it was after the Coca-Cola 600 last year. But I really want to get back into doing post-race reviews, talking a lot more about it. I'm going to be doing a lot more about that, and I'm going to do some gaming stuff as well on the channel from here on out, specifically with the steering wheel, because I got iRacing now, once again, I should say. So, yeah. Later on in the week, I'm going to talk about, like I said, what's coming up more on the channel. And then I want to have a personal conversation as well in the week about something that's been going on with me in regards to my health. So, yeah. Thank you all for watching. And this is Marty. I will talk to you guys in the next video. And until then, peace out.